Hello, so this is my behind the scenes. I started off by just sketching the background, a house, and a bird on different layers, like you see, and just basically playing with the layers, trying to um, show the animation and how the main character, moves. And this is just the introduction, basically. So I use the tool on the app, which allows you to actually move a layer forward or squash it or just like move the actual layer around. And it was a really useful tool to my animation because um, I don't really know how to animate like people walking, and it just takes a lot of time. So I just use this to help me because I was really scared that I would have to actually go and like research, and like it would take a lot more time, but I overcame that challenge with just using one of the tools. And yeah. So after that, I tried to write the title, but I was unsuccessful because, first of all, I had no idea what to name my animation. I finally figured it out. And I played around a bit to see what font would be best because I was hand drawing the font. It was pretty fun. And I kind of played around with the colors a bit, and that was really fun. So after that, I kind of had to move the hand of a character because I needed some movement in the animation, but I couldn't just move the whole layer, so I decided to use this other option and this other tool in the app that I could select a part of the layer and just kind of move that around. And I think that was also really useful because a lot of the time I drew something on one layer and I had to move it, and I didn't know how to move one thing, so this was really useful. And yeah, I also couldn't really figure out how to express things that are going on in the story, but I figured out elements like zigzag lines and like the color red and like um, uh, basically signs in red, like symbolically, would really help with representation. And so that's what I used to like express what is going on in the video and in the animation. And I kind of animated it so it would be kind of a fun thing to, because I could just like draw it solidly and it could just like be like that throughout the video, but I feel like the fact that I animated it made it kind of interesting. So then after that, I had to shoot this other scene, which included kind of drawing a well. And I had this problem where I drew something on the wrong layer. So I had to just cut and paste the whole thing to a whole other layer. And at first I was like really scared because it was on the wrong layer and I couldn't merge layers on this app. In the animation part, because I do digital art on this app. So I couldn't merge layers and I was panicking. But thankfully, I figured out a way with playing around with the elements. I figured out that I could just select the part of the layer that I need to move to another layer,
I
cut and paste
also
it to the
figured out
other layer,
that
and that worked.
I couldn't really do anything about the fact that my characters would look different that what I originally imagined them to be. So this is a problem from the very beginning, but I used shadows to represent people kind of. That wasn't my original plan, but I decided I can use different different types of animation kind of and merge them together, and it looks pretty decent at the end. I'm pretty happy with the results, but it has a smooth transition because of that. The problem with the with the characters, I figured that if I went to the original actual art piece that I created and just copy pasted that and just made it smaller, like added minor details to it, like a tear for like crying, it would work, and it did. And I also used this thing where you could zoom in and out on a layer, and that was also really useful. So yeah. So after I had figured out that I can zoom in, I was like, so why not just use face expressions? But I figured it would be too hard to do the whole face, so I used things like zooming in on the eyes, because a lot of the times our eyebrows and our eyes say a lot about what our general expression and our reaction. So I thought that would be really cool to try. And I had to kind of use the blender because they were again on different layers, and I just had to compromise a bit, but it worked, and I added a few highlights, minor details to the drawing, and just made the eyes wider so it would be like a surprise. And I had to redo the whole thing on each frame because I had this small scene that she widened her eyes, and I had a few scenes on that, so I had to redo the frame each time, but it was definitely worth it. Then after that, I had to do my next scene, which included black and white, and I really thought it would be like a huge problem, but I figured I'd just outline the actual animation, the background and stuff, and the girl with like a different color on a different layer, and then erase the other layers. I also copy pasted some body parts to make it look more realistic, because our body doesn't just look different in each part, it's symmetrical, so I use that for symmetry. And I really like my scene 2, because the transition to black and white is, first of all, I think really cool, because after the surprise in her eyes, she falls in, and I just show her falling from in the well, and we just see her foot leaving the ground, and then we see her falling in a designed black and white and gray. And I think that looks really cool. And also I made the falling scene really long because it's one of my favorite parts. And I just made it pretty long. And I think it looks good because it entertains the people. And it's a little funny how it has like different designs. She falls through different tunnels, and it's just a fun bit. Then after that, I had to think about how I transitioned, because when she was falling, there was this line that made her fall through, and she was different colors. She was like gray when she was falling like underground. There was a line to clear that she was falling into the underground. So I had to, again, redo the girl and draw over her on another layer so I can have her gray version, so I can show her falling in the first scene. And I just had to outline her a few more times, so by now I have memorized how she looks like. And I feel like the part when she transitions is really cool. And I put a lot of work into it. That might be because why I think it's really cool. And I just colored the background. The layers really helped with the transition. So I could just erase the black layer and there would be a gray layer beneath. And I just edited the layers and she'd just fall. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Then I just completely erased the black layer and I just edited her in different frames to fall through a series of different tunnels. Then all I had to do was duplicate the frames. That's also one of the things that really helped me, duplicating the frames, because I couldn't just redraw every single frame. So I duplicated the frames, and that really helped me get the fluent result. And her looking alarmed, I think is really good. I made her pupils smaller, and then this is the part where she falls into the well, and I thought it would be fun to add written notes to the sides, and she just falls, so yeah. Also, another problem I had in the animation was that my original sketch has this lit up moon on her forehead, and it wasn't on a different layer, so I had to edit it out at some point and just redraw over the skin, which took a bit of time and I had to compromise, but it eventually worked out and I'm pretty happy with the results. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day.